Are you looking to stay informed about what's going on in Madison without the media spin when we talk about liberty, justice, legislation, and government? Well, here's the latest news from the Wisconsin Assembly Chambers brought right into your home, directly from the office of your representative, who truly values his constituents' feedback and is always working hard on the issues that matter to you. Welcome to the Ramthun Report with Tristan Johannes.
Hello, my fellow citizens. Today's date is February 5th, 2021. First of all, I want to explain to you what this is. This is a groundbreaking attempt to create transparency and awareness in state politics. Not to just keep you up to date on what's happening, but to also give you a platform to give us feedback on what affects you and what's important to you. Hopefully, this will create transparency over time and build confidence as we see this feedback being used to make things happen in state politics. So hopefully over time you'll see things start to happen as you give us feedback, and then it'll create kind of a movement. This is kind of the idea behind it. And that's my dream anyway. So that being said, as Rep. Ramthun would say, let's get down to brass tacks here. So last week we saw where they had gathered up into the assembly and they wanted to push forward on this SJR 3 vote, which held Governor Evers accountable for his actions. And because he's been unconstitutionally putting on these executive orders over and over and over again, and nobody's been holding him accountable for that. Well, then all of a sudden, day of, we find out that we might lose this federal CARES Act funding, and it threw a wrench in everybody's plans. So, but then this week, they got together, and I wanted to give you a brief, every week we always send out an e-update that kind of discusses everything that happens. So I'm just gonna, as over time I'll get better at this, but as for now I just want to read this to you, and this is what we released via our e-update. So by the way, as I go forward reading this, this is out of the mouth of Tim Ramthun, our representative, so it's not me that's saying these things, just so we're clear on that. It certainly took a while to get to this point. I never wavered in my commitment to reining in the tyrannical executive branch. Plenty of obstacles were put up that had to be overcome in the last 6 months. But after personally drafting 5 joint resolutions, the one most recent finally received a vote, which was our SJR 3. After tireless efforts to get my colleagues to support fighting back against government overreach, a majority vote of the Assembly was secured. Yesterday, the Assembly voted 52-42 to pass Senate Joint Resolution 3. As the Assembly lead on the resolution, I had a brief floor speech that I want to show you guys here.
Permission to read from a printed document, Mr. Speaker?
Without objection.
For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The vote is green. Point number 2. On January 4th, the members of this body were sworn in to this office. Whether you did it before because you weren't here on the 4th, or you did it after because you weren't here on the 4th, you did it. This resolution holds you to that oath. Point number 3. If you believe in the science of masks, but not the science of life beginning at conception, then you do not believe in science. You believe in a political ideology. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In addition, an amendment to Assembly Bill 1 was enacted to both continue to support Wisconsin families in need and protect Wisconsin taxpayers from possibly having to pay back hundreds of millions of federal funds. So again, about that CARES Act. A letter was also included to encourage the governor to work with the legislature, which unfortunately, Governor Evers responded by implementing a new executive order declaring another health emergency not long after the Assembly voted in concurrence on the SJR3. So as soon as we had pushed it through, Governor Evers just undid 6 months of work. His complete disregard for the separation of powers continues with this latest move, showing that he has no intentions of stopping his overreach or his desire to rule by executive order. It's clear that now the Supreme Court must get involved, and hopefully they do. Otherwise, the legislature can overturn every unconstitutional public health emergency, and the governor will just issue another one. It is imperative that the legislature doesn't lose this important check on the executive, regardless of what party controls that branch, or any branch. The original argument the legislature presented to the Supreme Court was if we overturn the public health emergency, then Governor Evers would do exactly what he did yesterday. As that came true, it shows the necessity for action from the court. The recourse the legislature has in state law no longer has any value if the executive can simply ignore it. The letter sent to Governor Evers yesterday urged him to stop his executive orders and utilize the legislative rulemaking process. This process would have given the legislature full power to approve or deny any emergency rules the governor was trying to implement, as outlined in state law. In other words, legislative oversight would have been rightfully returned to the process, preventing these wide-sweeping edicts from only a single individual. And the word dictator comes to mind, doesn't it? Some people were initially upset with this letter, as it was unfortunately mischaracterized. It was not asking Governor Evers to implement another sweeping and draconian edict that would immediately be approved without question, as some have suggested. It's far from it. My strong opposition to overreaching statewide orders has been made quite clear in the past, and it has not changed one bit. All the letter was asking for was for the legislature to be part of the process, and for the governor to follow the rule of law. Instead, he ignored our letter and issued another public health emergency, making the purpose of the letter moot. On nearly a dozen separate occasions, we've extended offers to sit down and work together, and each was rejected. He has no intentions of working with us, seeking only to demand we do what he wants without complaint. That's not how government works, and I won't work that way either. It's also important that we note this whole process has nothing to do with masks. Had Governor Evers not reissued the public health emergency and the mask mandate, counties and municipalities would still be allowed to issue their own orders. Businesses who wanted to require their customers to wear masks, they could have done so. Individuals who want to wear them could have done so as well. This notion that this fight is about masks is just plainly not true. It's about preserving the separation of powers far beyond the present day and far beyond the current political landscape. Regardless of which party is in control of which branch, the state constitution cannot be eroded, and state law must always be upheld. Our whole system of government depends on it. So that was our e-update from Representative Ramthun. And in the links below, I will have a link to a survey to ask you how you feel about these issues and get feedback from you. And over time, we will kind of shift these surveys to kind of represent what actions you feel are most important, and then we'll be able to use that feedback to help strengthen our cause. So I think it'd be wonderful to create that transparency between the representatives and their constituents. I'll also have links to the website so that you can be subscribed to the e-updates yourself and check them out for yourself. I'll also add a link to Tim's Facebook page so you can follow us on our social media accounts. And that being said, we'll see you later, and God bless. Thank you for taking time to watch this Ramthun report, and we hope to see you again next time. Take care.